soon.
Okay, great, thank you. This is for those who may not have made it, or for those who need some more information later. We talked about a few weeks ago the idea of an MVP, or a minimum viable product. Now, the minimum viable product is another word, a basic product. It's the most basic form of a product you can get, without all the bells and whistles, that has the potential to earn some money from a customer, or earn some form of payment, even if it's a cent. A minimum viable product is something that your potential customer would look at and say, that's worth paying for. Not only do they say it, you've actually tested that they've actually done it. And so testing is your 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth stage of your design process. Remember, we talked about the design process? We talked about diverging, converging, diverging, converging. Let's review it very quickly. Diverging, your first divergence, when you first start a business, first got an idea, you're diverging in relation to empathizing. You're trying to think, what do people want? What do people need? Now, I remember we had a really good conversation in our training, in our graduation day last week, when we were talking about, Elizabeth was talking about she was trying to empathize. What does she really enjoy? She enjoys listening to people's stories, if I remember correctly. And there was a sense of people love telling their stories, and she enjoyed listening to them. So somehow there's an exchange. There's something that people wanted. So when you empathize, we at the early stage of your minimum viable product, you might have to go back to this, by the way, even if you're in an advanced stage, go back to this and think through, have I thought about enough needs for my customers right now? Have I listed enough of their desires, their needs, their wants? An empathetic perspective is diverging and getting as longest list as possible of what your customers need and want. Your converging is when you define the problem. Well, which one of those needs and wants am I going to focus on as my priority? Again, it's easier said than done, because first of all, you've got to actually eliminate the other ones. Second of all, you've got to now narrow your entire focus, your resources, your energy, your direction, based on this one major problem that you picked up. So it's going to be major enough that eventually people will be willing to pay for a solution. So you're diverging on people's problems. What are the people's problems out there? Who are my customers? You're converging on one particular problem that they might have. Then you're diverging again. And this time you're diverging on ideation, or how many different possible solutions can I provide for my customer? And I guess when Vyas was thinking, if the social need to connect is one issue, one problem that he's zoning in on, then now he's thinking about, okay, how many different kinds of products and services and ideas that I can create that can meet this ideal customer's specific problem that I've identified. And so we've talked about a lot of brands. Some of them, many of them, he's actually providing in one setting, but there may be other things that he could have provided, but it's not appropriate for that setting. And so as you converge, you're now converging on a second thing, and that is, what is your one major solution that you're going to work on in order to bring some satisfaction to your customers' wants and needs. So if you've done that already, or if you're on the journey with that, then the final step of the design process, in terms of designing something for your market, the final step is testing, or another word for that is validation. Can you test this journey that you've been on, this prototype, this end product, this basic solution that you come up with? Can you test it somehow? Can you get a customer experiencing it somehow, such a way that you can feel confident that they will fulfill the hypothesis that you originally created? That is, they will spend $50 to get an experience on an evening. Can you get how can you get that confidence? That's probably the question about validation. So I'll use the term validation a bit, and people in the entrepreneurship ecosystem will use this all the time. But basically, what validation really means is, can I be confident that my product is going to eventually, people are going to eventually pay for it? As you can see, as you can imagine, as I've described, it's an important step, hugely important step, before you start putting lots and lots of money and resources and getting rental premises and connecting with suppliers and all of that. it's nice to know if you've got a little bit of confidence. And companies use this. Enterprise companies, people, huge, massive global conglomerates started with this. A good, valuable, a season where they can test to see if that's going to work or not. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about what are some strategies in which you can validate or feel confident that your product has legs to stand on. So at the end of this section, outcomes, we always try to start with outcomes. Decide on your basic product profile. Now I've got two categories of people here I'd like us to get feedback on before the end of today's session. The first category is if you're in the early stage. If you're in the early stage of your product, there's a number of us are in early stage. What I'd like us at the end of the session is to have your basic product profile. Just a basic sense of just a one-pager or a half-pager or a few sentences, hopefully maybe a couple of paragraphs on what is your actual product going to be doing. What is the product that you arrived at, you decided on, that's going to meet that single problem that you've identified? Again, part of the design process. The second group is if you're in the next stage where now you think you've got your product, you've got your one page, you're confident, you've made a list of all those things. Now I'd like us to think of this challenge. Decide on your top 5 ways. And I'm giving you 5 because validation is a problem. People don't validate. They put a lot of money in and they go broke, or they don't get their money back. Validation is a way of getting confidence that your end customer will pay. 5 ways where you can get a bit of confidence, validate your MVP, which is your basic product. One of them is a financial exchange. So even in your validation, what I'd like us to do is to find a way to get someone to pay some money, even in the validation phase. Before you even develop your grand product and you started making big sales and you invested lots of money, get your basic run-of-the-mill product service as small as possible, even if it's one feature. Get it to them and say, hey, mate, can you buy this? Can you pay? Right? And that will give you a bit of a clue as to, okay, I'm not dreaming. I'm coming off my high horse. I'm back on the ground. This is real. This is going to happen. Cool. That's our goal. Early stage, you need I'd like us to get a one, and we're going to divide into 2 groups straight after a little bit of a chat. 2 groups. One will be groups in the early stage and 1 groups in the next stage. So 1 group's to just focus on your basic product profile. What is your MVP basically? And 1 is give me 5 ways to validate your MVP. Now going back just to help you with that one pager. Now let's go back to the FAB model. What is your fabulous product? Let's revisit it. Features, advantages, benefits. I have a pen here. The features of this pen is it's 4 colors. Here you go. It's 4 colors. That's one of its features. It's got a thick edge, kind of helps me with what I do. That's the feature. The advantage, because it's got 4 colors, it's more advantages over one that's got 1 color. That's an advantage. It helps me do drawings and colors, and it helps me do matrices and pictures and graphics when I try to explain things to people, back of the napkin type of stuff in color. That's the advantage. 1 extra benefit it has over a competitor's pen. And finally, the benefits. Well, why do I want to do something at the back of a napkin? Why do I want to draw stuff while I'm having my coffee at the school cafe with Elijah and we're brainstorming these great business opportunities? Why do I want to do that? Well, that's my mission. I want to creatively present something to a potential investor so that we can go into business together. Okay? Benefit. What is my personal benefit for using a multicolored pencil like this? Really important to think about your one pager. If you're doing a one pager, this is what it should have: features, advantages, benefits of that single one product that you've converged on. All right, now that we've done a whole session on that, so there's more slides on that if available. If you're interested, go back. Elijah will show you where those slides are. That'll be an interesting thing for you to do. We talked about this. Recall the design process. Just shared that with you before. Empathize, define, ideate, prototype, test. Diverge. What are the problems? Converge. What's one big problem? Diverge. What are different solutions to that one big problem? Converge. What's one solution to the various possible solutions that you've come up with. And the fifth step is, okay, take that one solution. Yeah, I've come up with a basic car. It's fully electric. It has got all the bells and whistles. It's got a battery. Will someone buy it? Right? Let me go and test it. And this is the validation moment. So I'm going to just ask you a couple of things to think about validation. The first thing is important to know about validating, getting confidence about your customers is, who do you validate with? I don't know if you've come across this before. If you've done business studies of some sort, you may have come across this one. It's called the diffusion of innovation process. And basically what it is that every time a brand new product, a brand new innovation comes to the marketplace, a brand new one, like no one's ever seen it, heard it, touched it, experienced it before, only a few people in the market will try it. Believe it or not everyone's going to go for the innovation. Very few people will. In fact, it's noted that probably 2.5% of the marketplace will actually try your brand new innovative product that's never been in the market before. So ChatGPT is now moving towards early adopters stage. Probably more. The second stage is that more people will come in. As soon as the first one tried it, they start talking about, today I told you about it. Some of you haven't heard of it before. Now you're going to jump on and going to try it yourself. So ChatGPT, brand new to the world product. It probably came out in November sometime. I was probably late on the journey of it. To now, we're getting a larger group of people starting to jump on board and use it. And then, of course, once 13.5%, you've got a few more people. There's a chasm, and the chasm basically is that at that point in time, the company that spends the most money and the most resource, innovation in terms of promotion, will draw the early adopters and the early majority into the fray. And of course, those are going to be the big companies. They're going to be the companies that will, if they run well, will actually take a large percentage of the market share. So it is about innovation, right? It's not about a standard competitive product that you bring in the market. It's a brand new to the world type of product. 34% will be the first majority, first early part of the group. I think that totals about 50%. Then the second section, which is the late majority, is 34%. And finally, what they call the laggards. The poor old laggards are the ones who have tried to avoid it as much as they can. And now they realize they just have to take on this brand new innovation. Everyone else is doing it. They just can't help. Does anyone watch Channel 9 News yesterday, where there was a country town in Victoria that was losing? They were losing their last bank branch. All the big four branches had left. There was only one bank that was left, Commonwealth, and they were going to say goodbye because the town's too small for them to have a branch, and everyone was online. And there was a whole bunch of people who were saying, we want a branch, we want a branch, we want a branch, we want a branch. Basically, holding on to the last vestiges of the privilege and the honor of going into a bank and transacting. We would call them the laggards. Not laggards are usually people who wait till the end when the technology is used by everyone else. I know for me, I'm a laggard in some forms of technology. For example, I'm a laggard when it comes to mobile phones. I've still got an iPhone 10, which is, I think it's old compared to what most people have at the moment. Maybe I'm a late majority, but my friend Michael, who's an innovator, he will stand in line to get the latest iPhone that comes out, and he will wait like 3 hours in the queue. Yeah, have you seen those people in the queue, like outside the iPhone shop waiting because it's just come out? This guy, he'll do it. He just wants the latest and he wants it immediately.
From 3 p.m. the previous day.
3 p.m. the previous day. That's a long wait. Right? Yeah, you've done that, Alex?
No, I haven't, but I've seen people like go to the shop before the day before launch day, and you see already they've got seats.
They've got seats. They've got their tents,
and,
their camping bags.
Yeah,
Well,
shopping center. Yeah, I've seen it many times. Just crazy.
I will stand in line for a cricket match.
Yeah,
but not for an iPhone. Sorry about that. So I'm a bit of a laggard, even DVDs, I still have DVDs. I still play some DVDs sometimes. I mean, that is really laggard, isn't it? So everyone's different in different ways. I'm innovative in some ways, but I'm laggard in other ways. So not everyone's always a laggard, and not everyone's always an innovator, right? So it's important for you to think about when you want to validate, when you want to test whether this is going to work or not. Most likely, the people who are going to test your product for you will be in the early stage people, the early stage type people for that product. Early adopters, evangelists, people who tell other people about your product, and early investors, people who are, wanting to make a bit of money and always looking for new creative opportunities to invest in, so that they can then get some return. Because the earlier you get in, the quicker the return, the more likely you get a bigger return. So who are the early adopters or the innovators in your category? That's probably the question for you to be asking. Who are the early adopters? Who are some early innovative type thinkers even if you're testing a product with friends? You'll have friends who'll say to you, sorry, mate, that's not going to work. Guess what? Most likely they're a late majority or a laggard. So don't be discouraged. They just don't try new things. That's all. They're just not your market right now. You don't want to test your product with someone who doesn't think it's going to work. You want to test your product with the personality type that's always trying new things. And that tells you, that will give you more feedback about your product than trying to persuade someone who is usually takes time before they try new things. So that's your question. Now remember your persona. Your persona is your picture, your graphic, your picture, your photograph, the photograph of the person who is going to be your customer, not your end customer, but kind of your next customer. A good idea. Who is your persona, and who are the early adopters in your persona group? Okay, important question to ask when you are trying to get some feedback about your product. Next question is validating your basic product or your MVP. Here's a question. What evidence do you have that your product will succeed? Tough question. I hate it when people ask me this question. You know why? Because it's just rude. I mean, what do you mean asking me if my product, evidence that my product, this is the best product in the world? You don't need evidence. I'm passionate about it. It's going to work 100%. Come on. Well, actually, there's tricky little ways where you can get some evidence just for yourself. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to show your evidence to anyone else. Just for yourself, just to be a little bit confident that this is going to have legs to run on. So when it's almost, you're asking yourself, have I got some evidence? So when you get to a stage where you've zoned in on your solution, here are some possible, here's a matrix. I love matrices. Here's the matrix that gives you an idea on what you're really wanting, how you want to answer that question. You want strong evidence. There's strong evidence type things that you can get to validate, to be confident, or there's weak evidence where it's still evidence, but it's not as strong. And then on the left-hand side, you've got strong evidence and weak, but you've also got the idea of resources. So do you need, you only need a small set of resources to get that evidence. Because every time you get evidence, you want feedback from a customer or whatever, you're going to have to spend some money on it, right? So you want to get as least possible resources possible needed to get the strongest evidence possible. And then on the right-hand side, you've got a lot of resources that you've got to pour in for a lot of evidence. So for example, pharmaceutical companies, when they are coming up with a brand new drug or brand new medicine or tablet, they have to spend a lot of money to test. They have to spend like millions of dollars to test it before they even get it approved by the authorities, by the medical authorities, which they now can then produce to sell. Just their testing phase costs millions of dollars. Now, we don't want that kind of testing phase. We want the lowest possible resources for the highest possible, the strongest evidence, which means which box should we be looking at?
The interviews.
Yeah, the top left-hand box is the box that gives you the strongest possible evidence and the least amount of resources to get that evidence. Cool. And so interviews are good if you can get them for free. And if you can, where are interviews, by the way? Oh, they're on the bottom, they're right in the middle. They're good too. Again, different products give different kinds of evidence. But what you really need, interviews can be expensive if you're doing too many of them, because every hour it costs you, right? Every hour of interview time will cost you hours of time. Here are some ideas. Pre-sales pricing, crowdfunding. I've got explanations for some of these. Validation interviews, yep. To get commitment, but not necessarily to get the working time. A landing page, one of the least used but most effective things out there. To actually get a landing page and get people to feed into your landing page about your product. Elijah, how expensive is it to set up a landing page?
Virtually, you can get it set up for free, depending on what tools or platform you're using. Yep.
Fantastic. Everyone, make sure you got Elijah's email. He said it was for free. Hold him to it. Go get yourself a landing page.
Yeah, depends.
He said depends, but ignore that last word. He said free. I heard free. So get yourself a
give you a free landing page.
Go and talk to him about your landing page. How cool would it be if you set up a landing page which had certain characteristics of your product on there that gives you a little bit of feedback from your persona that you've got your product is valid, that you've got potential, your product has potential. Wouldn't that be great? Interviews from customers, direct discovery, concierge service, selling your actual product, people actually buying a sample of your product is really one of the best ways, actually, because they're actually paying. Wouldn't it be wonderful for people to actually pay a certain amount for your product, so you know right away before you even mass produce that you have something to sell? So I'm going to give you a list, and I've probably done enough talking.
Sorry, Marcus, could you explain concierge a bit more for those people?
I was going to ask you about to explain, because you've got really? Because it's a technology one.
I have a technology as well. Yeah, sure. What was? So did you want me to explain that?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
Sell a concierge service. So typically in regards to testing MVP, the way I understand concierge was, I think the founder of Zappos, so a shoe company in a shoe brand in America, he started off by just reselling shoes. Back then, like 20, 25 or 30 years ago, there wasn't really any shoes sold online. So what he did was he brought some shoes from different stores. He put it up, took some photos, and he didn't actually own any of the shoes. He just took photos of them. Actually, before buying, he just took photos of it and posted it online on a very simple page. People purchased it, and then he went and actually got those shoes they were after. So that way, there was evidence that people actually want to buy the thing that he's selling, and then he fulfilled it later. Then he bought those shoes and fulfilled it. So he didn't actually have any inventory. So that's the first way I would understand. That's how I would do a concierge model. So it's similar to selling something before you even make it.
So you're taking orders, almost like you're at the front door. You're taking orders. Think of a concierge at a hotel, but you're not, before you even buy the product, before you even use it, you've actually got a sale.
Yeah, so that could be like a pre-sale course, even if your product is digital. Pre-sale products, you could have a wait list, and actually sell it, things like that. Yeah.
Got some more definitions coming up. Sorry, who was that?
Was that like custom order?
Yeah, custom. Yes, or pre-order, pre-sales.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a form of pre-sale.
Yeah, custom order as well. That works.
Yeah. I've got some definitions coming up. That's why I wasn't going to labor on that for a minute. There are a couple of ones here, and there is an article that I've clicked, that I've got this information from. So if you click into that article, I'm not sure if you can click it from where you are now, but maybe Can you or not?
No, not
No.
they don't have access to the slides, so no.
Okay. Give me a sec. I'll do that. I'll put it in the.
If you
Chat.
put the link in the chat, that works.
I will do that in a moment. Okay, and basically these are a whole range of validation ideas that you can look at. But I want us to just capture the thought before you throw the ideas across. The thought about the Dropbox story. The Dropbox story is a fascinating story that of validation. One of the best validation examples that is good that's been going around. Dropbox started without a product, yeah, but it was a great idea, and the idea was that in the days before Dropbox, it was backing up was a big problem for everyone. It was definitely a problem for me, and so Dropbox had this idea of a product, then it created a video. Like a 2-minute video explaining the product before they even created the product. Yeah. And they went from 5,000 to 75,000 views and a brand name in the marketplace within the innovators and early adopters before they even created the product. I'd like us to check this out. I'm going to play it for us. I'm just not sure it'll play. I'm sure it'll play. And I want us to think about these 4 things when we're watching this video. The problem, the solution, the benefit, and the call to action. The problem, solution, the benefit, and the call to action. This is a video. You can do this, by the way. This is another great way to validate your product before you even, just so you can get people's feedback and subscriptions or likes or some sort of a response from the audience, from your target audience, whether you're going to kick some goals with this product or not. Within 2 minutes, this company has explained the problem of the customer from the customer's viewpoint, which is the benefit. The solution, Dropbox being the solution, your product is a solution. What happens when they use the product? So let's say coaching is your product, anxiety is your problem. My coaching solution is the solution. This is what happens when you use my solution. And this is what I think you should do next. Click here. Cool. Let me know if that comes up.
Yeah.
Is it coming up?
Mhm.
Yes.
Okay, great. It's so succinct, you almost have to catch every word.
Cannot hear the audio, Marcus.
You got audio problem?
Mm.
Yeah, we cannot hear the audio. Just check your
Okay.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I will check audio settings. Audio, what's that?
Wait, on the share screen settings, when you share screen, there should be an option that says share audio. Share sound before you
Advanced.
No, like before you actually when you click
I've got you. Yeah, share sound, optimize for video clip.
Yep, and then share.
Cool. Thank you. And I'll start from scratch.
You've been there. You're about to buy lunch and realize your wallet is in your other pants. Or maybe you left your keys at home. The problem is organization. You need one place for everything, like a magic pocket. Putting something in the magic pocket means it's always there, no matter what you wear or where you are. The same thing is true for computers. If you have more than one, keeping track of all of your files can be a pain. Solving this problem is one of the big ideas behind Dropbox. It's like a magic pocket, a single, secure place for all of your stuff. Let's meet Josh, who is preparing for a big trip to Africa. Right now, all of his trip info is spread across his laptop, desktop, and phone. He needs to consolidate it all and is tired of having to email files to himself or move them around with a USB drive. Then he found Dropbox, which creates a new kind of folder on his computers. These folders work hard to be exactly alike, even across Macs and PCs. By adding his itinerary to his laptop Dropbox, he can be sure the same file will show up in his desktop Dropbox and even on his phone. The same thing happens when he saves a document in a Dropbox folder. The document gets updated across all of his Dropboxes. But it's not just his computers. The Dropbox website also works to be exactly like his other Dropboxes. Anything he puts in Dropbox is available on the website automatically. This way, if his Jeep takes a dive and his computer is ruined, he can still get to his files on the Dropbox website, where they're always backed up. As it turns out, Josh's Safari was a success, and his laptop made it home with lots of videos and photos to share. Instead of emailing everything, he just shared a Dropbox folder with his mom, so she could get copies of photos she wants to frame. Because it worked so well for travel, Josh made Dropbox the home for all of his stuff, so it's accessible anytime, wherever he goes. Whether you're traveling the world, running a business, or simply organizing your life, Dropbox means you can stop worrying about managing files and backups and get on with your next adventure. You can download Dropbox now at Dropbox.com.
All right. Did you get that come through okay?
Mhm.
All right. Love to get a couple of your observations on that video. That is an example of a validation idea. That's an example of Dropbox saying, we're not going to spend a lot of money on development until we get a little bit of feedback if this is exactly what customers want. They did that video. They jumped from 5,000 to 75,000 views and orders, 75,000 orders, pre-orders, before they begin to launch create their product and begin to put money in it. What are your thoughts? What are your observations in terms of how they communicated on that video? Any thoughts?
Yeah, they made it very relatable to everyday activities, like with your keys and all those other things that you carry around with you in your handbag.
Nice. Very good.
They certainly covered. They covered a lot of sectors. They covered people's personal lives as well as their professional lives.
Excellent.
I wanted to know, from the time that they prepared that video to the time that they actually launched their product, do you by any chance happen to know the time frame?
I think I'll be guessing.
Yeah,
but
guess.
It was within a 6-month period, 6 to 12-month period. They were done. Yeah, they obviously they had concepts ready. They had enough of the concept in place, but they didn't have a product.
Right, so they had more of an MVP, and then they go, well, we can't take this to market. It's great for validation,
right?
But that's all it was, because it probably would have crashed the whole site. So from MVP, they would have just scaled.
Correct. It would have crashed the site like ChatGPT is doing right now. It's crashing almost every time I go on. It's crashing. So you're right. And so the idea then was that how much do we have a winner here? And it was obvious. The jump within 48 hours, that went across the internet like viral. So virality with video. So I guess clarity. Did you notice how simple it was? I mean, it was just like little cutouts, really, and someone's finger and a voiceover. Yeah. Even that they didn't spend too much money on. What they did spend on was getting to know what the exact benefit. What are people's problems? What were the problems? Disorganization, losing files, wanting it here but not getting it there. Can you see how convenience? So
inconvenience, and that made it convenient.
Correct. So their solution was convenience, but what they and did you notice how they described the customer's problem?
One wallet, not multiple wallets.
Yeah.
Storage. Yeah,
you can see that the terminology, the terms they use was simple, and they seem to know. I mean, if you were in that time, and if you're looking at that at that time, and there was no Dropbox available, no kind of multiple storage facilities and backups, you would say, man, that's exactly what I want. And Dropbox was the first multiple storage that I bought and I paid for, because it was just so convenient. And So I guess back to your product, especially if it's new to the world, especially if you got a little bit of distinctiveness about it, especially if you got something that other people don't have. Don't talk too much about the competitor. Go straight into the customer. What is the customer's frustrations and problems? How can you
Can I
describe
ask,
them?
is Dropbox now redundant because of cloud, or do you
No,
still do they still use it?
Dropbox is a cloud-based system and definitely still use it. Yeah, still a
Okay.
multi-billion-dollar company.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And it
And
was the
Apple
first one to
Cloud, is
use the
that-
cloud well. Sorry?
What about Apple Cloud? Is that different?
Yep. Yeah, Apple's also, cloud is the bigger technology. Apple and Dropbox are competitors in the cloud storage
Oh, okay.
area, cloud storage industry.
Gotcha.
Google's got Google Drive in the cloud. Apple's got iCloud. Dropbox is an own independent, completely separate to all these companies. They didn't even have a Google behind them. They just got in there, chucked their MVP online, checked out to see if it was possible, and they had something going. Hey, there's hope for everyone, even the small guys. That's really the lesson of the story. That's all content-wise. I'd love to hear some of your strategies, what you might have in mind for your validation strategies. So can we do that just before we finish? Is that okay? Can we just do one more small group, just even if it's 7 minutes, 5 to 7 minutes?
Can
Just
I
to throw
ask,
some ideas
has
out.
anyone used the Kickstarter before? Because I attempted one time, but it's all American, so I didn't really understand it.
Yeah, I haven't used it, but I know that Australia, there are crowdfunding platforms that are more tailored to Australian market.
Yeah.
But yeah, happy to, if you're looking into crowdfunding, happy to share some options.
Okay. Yeah. Sounds good.
Good question. Thank you. Yeah, get some of those ones need an Aussie flavor and an Aussie process backing it. Elijah, can you get us into groups?
Yeah.
And only a short one this time, but throw some ideas around on what do you think, what catches you about. I know it's early stage yet, you don't have to make a decision today, but what are some ideas that you think will work for your business if you want to validate it?
Cool. So breakout rooms, 10.
5 minutes will be fine, and then we'll release people
Okay.
for their Monday evening.
Okay, amazing. I'll do that now.
And you want to type that question in, Elijah, about what are some ideas you have to validate your business or your product, your MVP.
Did you want to do a different group for Elizabeth? And because I remember that we discussed that.
Yes, the one pager. No, I think I think let's go with that. I think people are getting the validation point, so let's do that for now.
Oh yeah, because we already passed the one.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Muhammad.
Elizabeth might be on her own, I think.
Yeah.
Joined.
Let me just go. I'll move Muhammad there. All right. Let me go into Elizabeth's room and I'll come back.
And you've put something on the bigger picture. Yeah. Okay. Oh, welcome back. Welcome back, everyone. Good to see you. I was dreaming. My daughter's saying, when are you coming back home? And I said to her, soon. Let's meet.
Oh, you're in the office.
Yes, I'm in the office, yes.
Oh, I thought you're in home office.
Yeah, no, office, getting some quiet one. She got into a new school this year, so she's just preparing. She's getting to a new rhythm of shopping and all that. And yeah, so supermarket shopping tonight for me. Fun. How did you guys go? We're just wrapping up. A few minutes to go. Love to hear your thoughts on validation. What are some thoughts that you had about how to feel a little bit confident? Okay, my friend, no worries, Nelson. Thank you. Thank you for being here and enjoyed your feedback today. So what are your thoughts about validation? Just a few more minutes just to get an idea on how you guys are traveling with that.
Yeah, and Maria Louise and I were discussing about doing surveys and getting
great.
feedback from that and how we can improve. So validating what you're doing and if there's any room for improvement to improve the service or product.
Great. Well done. Surveys are a very important validation tool. Excellent. What else? Who else had that? Thank you, Catherine and Marie-Louise being represented there. BIOS?
Well, for validation, I was looking at basically getting investors on board, but the investors that I'll be looking at targeting industry-specific investors such as Xbox, Sony, Nintendo, PC companies. I actually have a friend who just recently parted with Nintendo on very good terms and is really close with her boss, who was her boss at the previous company that she worked with, which just happened to be Tennis Australia.
Wow.
So, and I ran my idea by her, and I'm not going to ask for a massive investment on them, but what I was thinking was I'm going to look at doing individual private booths where people can lease them out. And I was saying, would Nintendo be willing to sponsor the build of that private booth and build it out in Nintendo for branding and so forth and over? She's like, you know what, the hell yeah, she goes, that's a brilliant idea. She feels so. That's light validation. Yeah, it's light validation because she is a friend, but given the fact that she also has an in with a global company, once one of them comes, if Xbox, Sony hear that Nintendo are on board, well, they're not going to miss out.
Brilliant. Now we're talking. You got some brains behind there. And the fact that, and the moment one comes on, it basically saying that there's confidence, there's validation.
Yeah.
Oh, they wouldn't come on if they didn't think there's something.
No, exactly. And the second thing I was thinking, okay, for validation as well, prior to the build, basically get the word out, but also pre-sell tickets for the grand opening, where food will be included and drinks. The drinks will be just standard drinks, so your house wines, okay, your standard bourbon and cokes, anything else they'd have to think of. But yeah, if we can create a sellout of grand opening,
fantastic. Yeah, that opening night, brilliant. Yeah, make it work. Make it work.
Yeah,
for you.
have everyone posting, and then just create a buzz where I couldn't make it on opening night. Let's go the following night, or and so forth.
Yeah, very good, very good. Thanks, Elijah. Yes, indeed. Any form of payment is validation. So it's great they're thinking investors or sponsors of booths. They're probably more sponsors than investors. Investors come into your company and get profits, but they're good. Yeah, sponsors are great because you don't have any further. You don't owe them anything else. They pay. They go. You put their name up, and that's it.
Oh, hopefully, okay. They also give me their product, okay. So
over time, they're going to want to give you more. They're going to want to be more involved. So that's excellent. Anyone else on validation? Any thoughts that you had?
I was saying that it was with mine. I often ask my passengers for my driving business, if they could describe my service in one word, what would it be?
Nice.
And so I use that kind of thing for testimonials, and I just make posts and talk about it, because what I've found is that when I'm in the business and I'm doing my messaging and stuff like, be quiet, sorry, cat's meowing, driving crazy. Is that you can get stuck in talking about it the way you think it is,
Right.
rather than the way they perceive it.
Yeah.
So I ask for one word because sometimes they feel on the spot, they don't want to, give me a whole testimonial or anything. But by getting one word, sometimes they'll say, oh, it's so you're so reliable. And I'm like, and they say, because sometimes you think they're not going to turn up, and then you like, just by getting that one word, it opens a can of worms.
Yeah.
So by not expecting too much and not asking a lot from people, you can just sometimes open the door.
Brilliant. Yeah, that's great, and especially in your business, the better words that you can get from your customer's mouth means those testimonials feel real. They are real. They feel real. They're authentic.
Yeah.
And you're starting to get the heartbeat of your customer. Well done.
Yeah, and because then I can feed those words back to my other followers.
Yep, get it up there.
Speaking their language rather than biz language.
Yeah, very good. Very good strategy to get your customers to talk to you about how they're feeling. Thanks, Marie.
They talk the whole way along the ride.
Oh, yeah.
They're always saying stuff.
Yeah.
But when I just try to get them to narrow it down, it's a different way of doing it. So.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's about your product in that case. It's not about their story. It's about your product. That's what you're doing. Great. Anyone else? Thank you for that. Any other last and final random thoughts on how you can feel a little bit more confident that your business has potential? This is the object of this exercise.
I was even thinking basically hit up Facebook groups that are passionate about what you're trying to create and ask the question, ask the public.
Right.
Like Elijah put on maybe 4 or 5 weeks ago, the book, The Mum Test. There's always a way of asking people without leading them. So as long as you frame your questions in such a way and let them tell you what they want, as opposed to for you to tell them what you want to give them. Yeah.
And I would add to that, Vios, give them a little bit of, give them something to do. So give them make them exert some effort. So sometimes you can make them, pay for a sample of a product, but like Dropbox did, they asked for feedback. So not just feedback, but maybe a click. Dropbox actually asked for what did they ask for? A subscription or an order, a pre-order. So asking for something that they can put an effort in increases your validation. Because anyone can click thumbs up and say great. Anyone can do that. But the next level is getting them to pay a little bit of a price, not just necessarily money, to give you something a little bit more than that. And that gives you more confidence. And that's what you're after.
Like basically purchase your ticket okay for grand opening.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Or put a deposit on your ticket, or lock your seat in, fill this form out. Even filling in a form and pay later. That's a bit of effort, more than just saying click.
I like that.
All of that it helps along the way. Any last and final thoughts, ladies and gentlemen? You have been brilliant today.
Yes.
Elijah's got some last and final thoughts.
There are some. There was my group. Elizabeth and Bryony. They had some thoughts, so I'll defer to them.
Okay.
To see if either Elizabeth or Bryony wanted to share.
There was info around I think just like a landing page, and especially at the moment because still in the, I guess like the with the 2 categories that you pitched at the beginning, I'd be in like the early stage. And so forming that one pager about what it is, and then just using that to see whether that's
Nice.
actually going to gain interest.
Yeah.
Because very, valid point that Elijah made is that, building an app, it's very intensive and laborious.
Yeah.
And so, be smart about it and
Nice.
see whether it's going to be, worth the time and the effort that you invest into it if people want it as well.
Great. Excellent feedback. Wonderful to do that. And did he tell you he's going to do a free one for you, or you didn't get to that?
Not yet. Not yet. We're staying on after the call.
Good. Do you make sure that happens? Bryony, what have you got?
He basically, we were basically talking about like pre-launching the first product and then getting feedback like a flyer or making a landing page, as Elizabeth mentioned, or a video explaining your product so they can like get an
Nice.
overview. And then you could basically do a survey, as Catherine mentioned, and then recommend the product if they answered something similar to like the problem that they're going through. Actually, you have the solution for it, and then you could
Right.
recommend the product that you have. So that would also relate to strong validation if they actually pay for it.
Great.
So then that would actually really validate your product and that the market actually wants it. So yeah, that's what we talked about.
Well done. And it'll apply even to your template model as well. Putting some template options on your landing page. Fantastic. I can see that working.
Thanks.
Well done, everyone. Anyone else wants to share? Christian, Mohammed? If not, I'm going to hand back to Elijah. I think you have one or two questions just to finish off, but thank you very much. I really enjoyed today. I achieved my emotional experiential goal for the day. I hope you've experienced yours. You've achieved yours, but don't forget, keep setting those emotional goals. And when you have a win, just say yes to yourself and proceed on with the next thing.
Amazing.
Thank you, Elijah.
Thanks, Marcus. I just want to say great work, everyone. It's been a journey, and now you can see how your ideas are like developing, and you hopefully have some strategies and tactics that you can apply both in the business context and also with the mindset topics that we talked about, tools. So yeah, that's all for today, and we would love to see you back on Wednesday for our next session. I think Anita will be leading that, so it'll be great to see you guys there. And thank you all for your time. If you'd like to stay back, if you have any lingering questions, you can stay back. I'll be here. Marcus won't be, but yeah. Thanks everyone. See you guys.
All the best. I'll stay for a couple of minutes before I head off to the supermarket.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Take care. Catch you later.
See you guys too.
See you on Wednesday.
All right. You know what Anita's talking about on Wednesday?
No.
I'd like to move it at least.
Not sure, Marcus. Do you know?
No idea. It's always going to be something good, though. But I think it is actually quite interesting. Yeah. Some good stuff.
That's right. So
mindset.
Yeah, I'll have a look. I wanted to ask Elizabeth, actually.
Get out of your comfort zone. Conquer your comfort zone. Good.
There you go.
Good. That's on Wednesday.
Great timing. So I was just I was going to ask Elizabeth, now that your idea is forming, because I know it's about an app, could you share what kind of app, like what does it do, what's the benefits or features?
Yeah, of course. It was really great. I think after graduation, it was nice to, I think, have a concept to then try to see what ideas spurt from it. And considering it's around, I guess, like storytelling and conversation, the idea is basically that it's centered around almost like anonymous stories. So with an app, each day you'll get like a notification for a randomized question, like what's one memory that you wish you could relive, something like that. And then you fill that out, and then it's like sent into the ether. And whoever else is on the app gets notification for it. But the idea is like you read a story and you give a story. So you get that question and then you have to, like the app won't let you go away. You have to put one in. And so the idea is that it'll ping to whoever is on it. So it's like a continuous loop so that it doesn't really stop.
That's cool.
And then it would be cool, like, you know, if it got really big, then you can hear stories from people who are living in other countries. Can get big. So like translation, you hear stories from other people who don't necessarily speak the same language as you, but it's based on connection and the sense that sometimes it's kind of hard to like answer those questions with people or friends who know you. And so like it's done anonymously. So you don't know who it is, but you've heard someone else's story. And then if it's a hard question, like, you know, what's one of your deepest fears, you still get that kind of like semblance of releasing it and letting it go, putting it out there.
Creating a safe space for people.
Yeah.
Which
kind
is,
of.
Yeah. Kind of. And so I think that's part of it, but there's obviously a lot more, which is really cool. Interesting. And what were your thoughts around how would it make money? Because that's part of it.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to get at.
So that you're still working on that part.
Yeah, because I think considering that I'd want people to try it for free, I think a very similar concept. It almost reminds me of like Be Real a bit. The idea being like maybe it's a bit randomized when you get a question because it will like remind you to do it. But then I did some research and Be Real. I don't think Be Real is monetized. So I don't know how that founder's making any money.
There's a whole story around SaaS products and how they fund their development journey, because usually they like a lot of SaaS platforms, they monetize later, like years later. So they get investment up front. So you know they get investors on board, users on board, and then on the tail end. So usually, should probably go here. Usually it's like they build something, they lose a lot of time, resource, money, but they do get funding from like investors to, I guess, to fill in the gap and also pay themselves. And then later on, you know, they make more revenue.
Yeah, I think almost maybe like a bit like Canva. You have the free version, which kind of has a lot of features, but then if I think of other features, then that is kind of like a premium version of it.
Right.
And then potentially, you know, today's session was really good because it opened the channel of revenue streams apart from consumers. So advertising or other things.
Exactly. Yes.
If it's related to stories and questions, maybe then that leads into actual like tangible products. So there's like a journal with questions for reflection or things like that. So then you create affiliate products from it. But I think at the moment that version of like going to different subscription levels, that's probably where I'd focus on for the initial monetization at least.
That's cool. Yeah. And well, that's good. You have something to start with, and you know there will be different ways to monetize. Mary Louise, I see your hand. What was your question?
I actually really love that idea for a number of reasons, but I was thinking in terms of monetization, while it's good to have the opportunity to get it off your chest and stuff like that, and that was like, yeah, I love that. I think there will be people who will need some sort of response or validation, and perhaps you could have a tier where if you want feedback on your particular thing, like say they're writing a short story and they want validation for it, or say they've got a problem, or you know, is it just me kind of, or am I the arsehole kind of thing, that they have to pay for that or something?
Yeah.
Thank you. Who would pay to have the opportunity to get feedback and also to give feedback.
Yeah. Thank you for saying that you like the idea. That's very kind.
It's not kind, it's just how it is. It's just a really lovely idea. And I can see a lot of people using it.
Well, I was thinking, you know, in the sense that Instagram has likes, that, you know, if it's something that's, if the idea is that the stories are more vulnerable, there's like a little emoji, but it's like you're giving a hug or something. And then instead of maybe responding, because I think one of the dangers I see with this is that if you share something, I don't want people to then start giving like, you know, free advice when they're not knowledgeable on how to give the advice.
100%. But that's where it would be only when they choose it.
Yeah. So it's just like support. It's like, you're so brave for sharing that. Thank you. Like I relate. But then it's maybe just, it's not a conversation. It's just a response. And then that's it. Maybe.
Yeah. Because I know TikTok is just very, often it's very nasty. And as soon as one person says something nasty, everyone thinks it's okay to say it. So I think steering away from that kind of thing is really a good idea. But I'm just sort of thinking that could be a way of getting the right kind of people who are responding.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm gonna write that.
Like there might be some sort of opt-in option, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're kicked off the minute any, you know, some moderation type situation.
Yeah.
Complicated things.
Yeah, and that's right, Mary Louise. Thanks for that. And yeah, I do like the idea as well, Elizabeth. And I think the key, well, tapping into a huge unmet need, which is what you would be doing, you know, where people want to share. And even Mary Louise, I think you also serve this kind of people who want to connect or express things, but they don't feel they have the space to. And then the challenge would be like, you know, there's always a lot of ethical challenges which can be solved down the line. Or we'll be exploring as well, and more than happy for you guys to connect in between each other or even ask questions in our next session. Vios, you had a question.
Yeah, just wanted to add to that. I think it's a great idea, and I'm not just saying that. I actually was very skeptical as you're talking about. I was just sitting there looking at this, and I'm going, maybe, I don't know. And the more you spoke, and I just thought, hey, shit, that is a ripper idea, allowing people anonymously to share. What you said just before with other people commenting or not, maybe allow the storyteller the option to have a click button. Hey, do you want others to comment? Some people might be posting and they might like the anonymous responses. Other people might just want to get it out there. Give people options. In terms of how you can make money, I wouldn't have a clue. But if this thing gets traction, Elizabeth, you speak extremely well, so eloquently, so professionally. There is no reason, okay, why you can't get paid as a speaker, just as an associate or a developer of this. Okay, like people might want to hear your story. Hey, how did you come? So
I'll mention all of you.
yeah. You know, I'm just saying, but you as the brand creator, okay, might be offering this free service to people, and you may just get speaking gigs. So there's other avenues to generate an income stream out of this. It might not be directly related to this, because I wouldn't have a clue how to make money out of this. But I'm saying there are other avenues that can interlink that to you and generate an income stream.
Yeah. Mary Louise, you look like you might want to say something.
Thank you. I was just sort of thinking about if there were keywords or something that were, I'm not assuming that you're going to have like a profile per person because it's anonymous, but if there was a profile that they're still posting anonymously from, if they were putting the same words in all of their posts or whatever stories, there may be some way to link back to professional services that might want to sponsor or like advertise.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do apologize.
If the person's talking suicide all the time, just say.
Yeah.
Thanks,
I've got to
Vios.
keep dashing. Thank you. Okay, have a lovely evening.
Yeah.
See ya.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That there might be a mental health professional who might, you know, be able to be aligned with that and be able to just have a pop-up or something, not something too intrusive or anything, but
yeah,
we have websites all the time that have advertising on them, blogs and all sorts.
Yeah, and
Very obvious example, but I'm sure that there will be more subtle and maybe less.
Yeah, because obviously that's a good idea as well, like good considerations, and there's heaps, and I think one thing I would encourage you to think about, or consideration would be, apps usually, when it's like business to consumer, if it's just business to consumer, usually it can take longer to build traction.
Yeah.
Whereas apps that are B2B, usually, and you can do it like B2B to C, right?
Yeah.
So you can actually reach the users from a business, and that's the path that we're going down, with the app that I'm creating for first-time founders and creatives. And it's actually going to, perhaps there are organizations that want to facilitate and foster the spaces or connections between their members, to share, etc. Universities, community organizations, etc. And they might pay, even though their users may not be able to afford it or pay at the start. So yeah, just thinking a bit different laterally.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Like an EAP type thing? Like in the sense of not necessarily having a person to speak to, but an opportunity to speak.
I'm not sure how you mean.
Well, like EAP is like the employee support or whatever. When you're having like a situation at work, there's an anonymous, basically anonymous.
Correct. So like an organization. Yeah, I got your point. So
Yeah.
I get your point. So yeah, they could, like, maybe employees could post it there, and then that will highlight certain issues to, like, raise it to, the people that can actually help them with their problems, things like that, or just.
I was more thinking that they would be like paying for the service for their employees to put it on, but it's not necessarily going back to them because it's still anonymous. It's just providing an option.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, so there's things like that could be explored. But yeah, it's really exciting. I'm excited for you, Elizabeth.
Thank you.
I'm glad I stayed back.
Yeah, thanks for staying back.
Thank you. I
everyone.
appreciate you guys staying all this.
I got here late. I figured I'd stay a bit.
No, you don't. This is totally optional. I just want to create a space for people to chat.
And this is my maths time, and that's like part of my coaching. So I'm missing it, but I knew I'd already missed the start, and I Wednesday because it's my birthday.
We talked about.
It's your birthday.
Oh, happy birthday
on Wednesday, so I'm just not sure if I'm going to be here or not. What's going to happen with the family and stuff. So I thought I'll stay today and
whatever you
put in the effort. But
happy birthday in advance, and great to have you all here. Chris, we're about to head off, but good to have you as well and hear from you. But okay, thanks guys. We'll take care. So, yeah.
All right.
Ciao. Enjoy your night.
Thanks everyone.
Bye.
Bye.